Hi everyone, happy Monday, happy Moonday. I am going to be sharing with you in today's class the upcoming transits and what to expect for the week ahead. We're also going to be taking a look at the Taurus Full Moon, which happens on Saturday. And just a reminder that I'm teaching a full moon class this Saturday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. There'll be more information posted here in this class. I'll post the link to join at the end of class. And be sure you're on my newsletter list to get the announcements about that. Also, today starts my 5-day grief challenge. So if you're in the Moon Tribe here in the Embody Your Inner Moon group, then you'll be able to follow along. I'll be posting every day another reminder about how to honor your grief, how to attend to it, and use it as a resource for wisdom and transformation and inner growth. And our full moon class will bring in a lot of those resources and those pieces. So don't miss that, especially because the work that we do here in this group is really about helping you deepen your relationship with your emotional body and your inner moon. So remembering that the moon connects you to your emotional body. The moon and its transits support the tracking and the deepening of your inner listening and the ability to help you navigate the feeling level. So that's what we want to pay attention to, because our emotional body and our feelings, our inner waters, really support deeper nourishment. And even the challenging emotions, the painful emotions, help us connect with what do I need on a deeper level. Maybe I need to make some different choices. Maybe I need to take some action steps. Maybe I need to honor my inner wisdom in a way that I'm not. And so we want to listen to all of it. The positives and the challenges, all that arrives on the emotional body level. So we're going to be resourcing from the emotional body level today in this class. And I want to encourage you to grab your art supplies. We're going to do some resourcing with the creative process. So grab your art supplies, whether it's a pen and paper or even paints or crayons. So before we dive in and do our check-in, let's do some transit reports and take a look at what's to come this week. We already had a few shifts in the past few days, so I'll briefly retrace those steps and then we'll take a peek at what's to come. So check in with me, let me know you're here. You can type into the chat and share your questions, your needs today, anything that's showing up, anything you'd like me to address. I try to do the best I can with checking in, but I'm on 2 different devices, so sometimes I miss things. Holler in the chat and let me know what's showing up for you. Let me know that you're here. Sometimes I see people join, but their names don't show up. All right, so let's dive in and take a peek at what we can expect for the week ahead. Now, just a reminder, Moon has shifted into Aquarius, which has ended the Kalasarpa yoga for the coming weeks. Rahu and Ketu and the axis of Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is transiting Cancer, Ketu is transiting Capricorn, and that means that everything on the inside of their gaze is being impacted by the serpent energy. And currently all planets are transiting inside their gaze. So Mars is in Virgo, Jupiter's in Libra, we have Venus and Sun now in Scorpio, and Mercury and Saturn are in Sagittarius. So when the moon is within that range from Cancer to Capricorn, then all planets are scissored in between Rahu and Ketu, head of the serpent and tail of the serpent. But right now, moon has shifted outside of that Cancer to Capricorn axis. So moon has shifted into Aquarius now, which means that is broken. And the reason why we want to pay attention to the Kalasarpa impact is that it tends to bring highs and lows. And remember, we're tracking the moon, especially in order to really navigate our emotional body and our inner waters. So as moon shifts into this kind of the outer regions, we see a little more stability show up. Now, however, Saturn is giving his gaze to the moon. He has been for the last few days. So being mindful that Saturn is the planet of grief, and as he touches the moon, it brings up grief in the emotional body. It helps us touch the grief that's within us. As moon shifts into Pisces tomorrow, that will begin to change. So you may be feeling a little more movement and a little less of the grief dynamic. It's important to keep the emotional body moving, especially when moon moves into Pisces. So be sure to keep tracking and using your resources to keep the emotional body fluid and moving. So Tuesday we see moon in Pisces in Uttara Bhadrapada, which is the latter half of the Bhadra constellation. And this supports deep inner wisdom. So dive deeply on Tuesday. Now on Wednesday, moon will shift into the final nakshatra, the final constellation of the zodiac. At the very edge of Pisces, moon will move into Revati Nakshatra. And this has to do with nourishment for the journey. So gathering resources, gathering support, and getting the resources in place for you to have a powerful next phase, next cycle. Because the next shift on Thursday is moon actually leaps into Aries, and this is the first sign of the zodiac, and moon will be in the gap, the Gandanta of Ashwini Nakshatra. Between Pisces and Aries, we have an important junction point. This is a transit point that supports the uprooting of the psycho-emotional body level. And it brings renewal, it brings upheaval, it brings change, transformation, release, letting go. And we want to support that. One of the best ways to support the transformation process in Ashwini Nakshatra is through resources like Ayurveda, self-care, the creative arts, the healing arts, and really honoring the physical body and the grounding that can help the release process take place. So remember that on Thursday. It'll be a fragile day and sensitivity will be extra high. So on Friday, Moon shifts into Bhurani Nakshatra. We're working with the dynamic of ferocity and tenderness. So there's a polarity in that. This is a very powerful constellation, and remembering the divine feminine on this day and the power of the divine feminine is really important. Stay in alignment and right relationship with Dharma and the passion and purpose that you have. Yama is the judge on this day, and he requires that you have restraint and diligence, and that you're in right relationship with karma, action. On Saturday, Moon shifts into Kritika Nakshatra. This is the constellation of Agni. So we're working with the fire element, transformation, change, the release that comes with that change and transformation, and honoring how fire supports that. Agni is the fire of life, and he emerges in a lot of different ways, but honoring the Agni piece, the fire piece in your own body and its wisdom, as well as in your life. And Moon also shifts on Saturday into Taurus and becomes exalted. And whenever we have the Moon exalted, we're able to experience emotion in bigger ways. Now, this is for better or for worse. Remember that an exalted planet is not better than a debilitated planet. It just expresses itself differently. So an exalted moon is going to bring big externalized emotion, whereas a debilitated moon, it softens the emotion, it turns it inward. So this full moon is really about the touching of big emotion, the feeling level in bigger and bigger ways. So emotional body is a powerful resource in the days and weeks ahead. Saturday we'll start to feel that shift, even though the trend for this week, the theme for this week is riding those big waves as we lead up to the full moon. But Saturday will be a particularly emotional day. Make sure you join me for my full moon class, because we'll be working with the emotional body, and I'll be sharing resources with you to support your emotional body. So that brings us to the, I'll shift into Sunday now, and then we'll backtrack to the full moon wisdom. Sunday, let's see. Moon is still in Taurus, but moves to Rohini Nakshatra. This is extremely creative. It is known for its ability to manifest and bring desire into the material plane. So that inner knowing, that inner desire, and bringing it out into the world, creating it in form. And that's a powerful theme for the weeks ahead as we move into the waning cycle. So let's come back to full moon and the wisdom of full moon. Like I said, we have a full moon in Taurus. And let's see. So moon is in Rohini Nakshatra. It's in Taurus, and I misspoke. It's actually in the early hours of Sunday. So it's on the 3rd, the day that Mercury goes retrograde. I'll touch more on transits in a moment. So let's take a peek at what we can expect for the Sunday full moon. So full moon is at 8:47 a.m. Mountain Time, plus or minus wherever you are living. So subtract or add time from Mountain Time. 8:47 a.m. Mountain Time on Sunday the 3rd. Moon will be in its Mula Trikona degrees in Taurus. Mula Trikona brings a certain level of balance. It's a position that brings harmony and stability and more support rather than challenges and hardships. So expect uprooting and change in this cycle. We have Mula Nakshatra on the ascendant. We have Mercury retrograde in Mula Nakshatra as well. Sagittarius is on the ascendant on the eastern horizon at the time of the full moon. So in the weeks ahead, as we move into the waning cycle, remembering the uprooting process. What weeds are you pulling up? There's also a tendency to get misaligned and off course. I'm seeing this trend a lot because Saturn has been moving through Mula Nakshatra now for well over a month. I've been talking extensively about what this means, but a quick recap. Mula can bring adharma. The ruling deity of Mula Nakshatra is Mriti. She is the dark goddess. She pulls us from our path. So at this time, it's really important to stay as connected to the source, your inner wisdom, and to make choices from that place. It's also vital that you take steps to continue to align with your path and your purpose. It's so easy to get off track at this time. There will be a lot of frustrations, a lot of challenges, and a lot of misfortune around path and purpose. At the same time, the desire will increase. And there's something about challenge and grief and struggle and pain that can do one of two things. It can either keep you stuck and misaligned, or it can actually increase the desire and the willingness and the actions, the choices that move you forward and help you make deep transformation and inner change. And I want to encourage you to notice where you're allowing yourself to stay stuck, where you're allowing yourself to be misaligned, where you're making choices that continue to disempower you rather than to empower you and move you forward. So in this full moon and in the days and weeks ahead, the important thing to remember is your emotional body. That's the barometer for how well you are nourished, what you're feeling, and those feelings, those emotions can support you in your needs. What needs to change? What resources do I need? Where am I feeling a lack of support? Where am I feeling a lack of stability or misalignment? What are the stories that are keeping me in this perpetual cycle of challenging emotions and disconnection? So paying attention to the emotional body is the resource in this cycle specifically for your healing, your transformation, and your growth. Moon sits in Taurus in the 6th house in the chart of the new moon. And the 6th house has to do with digesting, integrating, as well as healing and healer. Ask for support, gather resources, attend to your emotional body and its wisdom. At the same time, Ketu gives his gaze to the moon. So this is going to bring sudden emotional body release. This can also bring bursts of anger and rage and feelings of feelings that have been suppressed, and it's like all of a sudden it gets touched by the trauma, and it just sort of releases. We want to continue to notice the root of that emotion and the emotional body response. What's the why? Why are you angry? Why are you feeling this way? And what are the needs there? That's the first step in creating deep, lasting change. So knowing that the emotional body will be extra fragile in the days and weeks ahead is really important to remember. Whenever we have Ketu touching the moon, we know there's extreme sensitivity coming through. Ketu is the trauma node, and he touches the moon, and that's our emotional body, and so we have a conjunction of trauma and emotion taking place. The sensitivity that we'll be feeling in the coming days is connected to our trauma, our loss, our grief. So pay attention to the connection there. All right, so let's shift gears. We have a couple shifts happening this week. Like I said, Mercury is now in Scorpio, and Venus has shifted to Scorpio. And Mercury will go retrograde at the end of the week as well on the 3rd. So let's take a peek at that and the trends for this time. So I mentioned in last week's class some of the themes to be looking for. Oh, I think there's one more transit here. Hold on just a second. Yeah, Mars shifts into Libra on Thursday. Actually late on Wednesday. So Mars shifts from Virgo into Libra Wednesday the 29th around 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay, so paying attention to that shift as well. And the difference that will make in how Mars expresses itself. So Mars has been in Virgo for well over a month. Mars transits are roughly anywhere from, it ranges, but it's normally a 2-month transit. So more or less, okay? So sometimes there are variables in there. So Mars in Libra happens on Wednesday, the 29th, for the coming month. 2 months. I'm going to get you a date here. until January 17th. So, roughly 6 weeks. Okay? So we're working with a theme of making sure our actions, Mars, he is really the karma yogi, making sure actions are moving us into integration and alignment, into balance and harmony. That's the theme of Libra. So paying attention to your actions, your choices, and what is supporting you in order to create more balance and integration and alignment in your life. Is this action or choice moving you closer to balance and integration, or is it moving you further away from integration and balance? Take note of that. There's also going to be some fire and some intensity around relationships. And Mars brings that fire to Libra, which correlates to the 7th house because it's the number 7. So take a look at your Jyotish chart. Notice the number 7. Mars is moving into this house for the coming weeks. You'll notice some fire, some charge, some activation, some desire to take action, depending on your relationship with Mars in that part of the chart. And let's see. He also gives his gaze from that placement to Capricorn, where Ketu is transiting. And Mars actually is considered exalted in Capricorn. So you'll want to take a look at Capricorn in your chart, the number 10. And Mars is going to be activating that part of the chart as well. Mars will also give his gaze to Aries, which he rules. And that part of the chart will get the power, the ferocity, the charge of Mars as well. He will also give his gaze. Remember, Mars gives his gaze 4, 7, and 8 houses away from him. So he'll give his gaze as well to Taurus, number 2. And this brings themes of nourishment. So noticing that dynamic in your chart, wherever Taurus, number 2, resides, Mars will also be giving his gaze there. So let's shift now to Mercury Retrograde. So Mercury is going to retrograde back through Sagittarius. And back into Scorpio. And then he'll go direct, and then he'll go back through that Gandanta between Scorpio and Sagittarius, and we have to go through the Mula Nakshatra again. So Mars moving back through Mula Nakshatra, it's like an uprooting in the mental body. That's what Mula Nakshatra's role is. It's an uprooting process. And it's very deep, it can be very painful, but you have to remember that all the uprooting around Mula Nakshatra, it connects to Dharma. Being in right relationship with our power, our purpose, our reason for being born, our reason for being alive. So it's an opportunity to clear out and clean up those places that are keeping you out of right relationship with your truth. And that's specifically taking place on the mental body level. Mercury. Mercury is mind, imaginal, thoughts, words, stories, ideas, perceptions. And so the uprooting is taking place on the mind. He backtracks, he moves back into Scorpio in the coming weeks in December. And then we have to touch our depth once again. Go into our subconscious and unconscious terrain and look at those places. And then Mercury will go direct and move back through Sagittarius. We'll go back through the uprooting process again before he shifts into Purvashada, Nakshatra, and then there'll be some nourishment, some balm coming for the mind. But we've got to pull up those weeds before we can actually touch that nourishment. So just be aware of this cycle to come is really about pulling up the mental body weeds and the things that are keeping you from your dharmic path and purpose. And as Mercury shifts back into Scorpio, he is touched by Rahu. So there's a certain tenacity, there's some uncertainty, some cloudiness that comes with that, but there's also a strong desire to deepen this process. Lean in. Notice where you're disconnecting, avoiding, bypassing, and not looking at your limiting beliefs. All right, so Venus in Scorpio for the coming weeks. Venus is usually about 3 to 4 week transit. So Venus in Scorpio requires that we look into the depth to find our nourishment, to find the life force energy, to deepen our relationship with life force, with Shakti. It also requires that the feminine is looked at with depth and wisdom. And we'll probably be seeing a lot more show up around the feminine and deception and darkness and illusion as well. Remember that Rahu's giving his gaze to Scorpio. And Sun is there now. So for a while, we'll have a Venus-Sun conjunction, which I mentioned last week in class. A reminder to not push too hard, to not burn up your life force, to be mindful of where you're getting overheated. Stay cool. Attend to your inner waters. Attend to your nourishment. And try not to get overheated and push too hard and let the aggressive masculine take over. So I'm going to pause here and just see if there are any questions. So we touched on the transits of Mars into Libra, Venus into Scorpio, and retrograde Mercury. We also talked about the Taurus full moon. So I'll just pause here and see if anyone has any questions before I move on. You can ask your questions in the chat. Even after this class has ended, you're welcome to share in the chat below and ask any questions, chart related or otherwise. I'm working with the sidereal chart. I specifically work with the North Indian style chart. So ask your questions below, and let's go into a little bit of resourcing now, okay? So our theme this week is really emotional body, working with grief very diligently, and finding resources to keep the emotional body moving, to continue to resource from the emotional body and its wisdom. So I'm going to invite you to just sit quietly and close the eyes and begin noticing the breath. Just noticing the quality of your breath. And we're going to go into a check-in process. And remember, this is not about changing anything or making it different. It's really about honoring what is arriving, and just bringing presence to what is arriving in your bodies. When you're ready, shifting to the physical body and just noticing any sensations that are arriving right now. Tracking sensation and just noticing what's arriving in the physical body right now. And shifting to the emotional body and noticing what's arriving on the emotional body level. And moving to the mental body, the imaginal, thoughts and words and stories, just noticing what's arriving. Shifting to the spiritual body and just noticing what's arriving on this very subtle, nuanced level. Sometimes the spiritual body will show up as a sensation. Sometimes it shows up as a feeling. And sometimes it'll even show up as an image. Just noticing how it arrives. And I invite you now to come back to the emotional body. Leaning in and just noticing what's arriving on this level of your body. Noticing the emotions that are present. And I invite you just to notice the strongest emotion. What is the strongest emotion showing up right now? And if you could identify where that emotion is living in the body right now, lean in and listen. What is that feeling level? What is the sensation of this emotion in the body? I'm noticing if this emotion in the body has a sound. And if it had a sound, what would it sound like? And when you're ready, I invite you to let that sound out of the body. Let it release. And noticing if this emotion in the body could speak to you, what would it say right now? I'm just noticing this message coming from the body, from the emotional body. And what's the need? So if this message could share a need with you, what would it say right now? And what is an action step you could take in the coming days to honor this need? ready, take a nice deep breath. And exhaling through the mouth. Let's do that one more time. Breathing in. And exhale through the mouth. And when you're ready, just gently begin to open your eyes. And we're going to spend the next few minutes attending to the emotional body with some creative arts. So just want you to notice that feeling level that arrived with the emotional body. And just notice if there's a color that shows up or that helps you connect to this feeling that you identified. And let's start with that color. So we're going to spend the next few minutes, and I'm going to invite you to create an image of your emotional body, the way that it feels right now in your body. Starting with a color and going from there. So you can do this in a journal, on a piece of paper. Just creating an image of your emotional body, the way that it feels right now. And we'll just spend the next few minutes with this. And as you continue to create your image of the emotional body, just notice how it takes on new shape and form. Let it. This is a good sign. This is supporting the movement, the digestion of your emotional body. So let it shift. Let it change. And we'll spend the next few minutes just attending to this image. Take your time. It's a quick sketch. It's a quick creative process. You can always spend longer with it. This is just to get you started. To start thinking in terms of keeping the emotional body moving and gathering resources to allow that movement to take place. Art is one of the most important resources for supporting the movement, the digestion, the integration of the emotional body. Okay, so giving your image a title now. Just noticing if there's a title that shows up. You can write this title on your image, maybe on the back, or even in your journal. And then going into the baseline statement, so answering these questions, again, on the image, on the back of the image, or in your journal, letting the image actually speak to you from this level. So, I am. Let the image finish that statement. Next statement, I want. So letting the image respond. I want. And final statement, from the perspective of the image, letting the image speak, I need. Okay. Just looking at your statements and noticing what's arriving. Especially paying attention to the need. What are the needs showing up? And remembering your harvest from your body wisdom. So what was that need? And what was the action step that you identified? Go ahead and write that down. What was the message from your emotional body? What was the need? And what was the action step? I want to invite you to share those action steps with us in the comment section below. Share your images. Let us witness you in this emotional body harvest. Share your needs, your action steps, anything from your harvest today. This is a powerful way to identify, and a simple way to identify what needs are showing up within you. Sometimes we don't even know. Sometimes the numbing and the avoiding and the resistance is so high that we can't even hear. So this process can support you in that harvest, that integration, and also the digestion. We're going to work with this more directly in Saturday's full moon class, so be sure to join me to gather resources and support for your emotional body and deepening your inner wisdom, your intuition, and your nourishment. Remember, the theme for this full moon is really attending to your emotional body in order to increase the nourishment within you and within your life. I'm here to support you in this process. to support you in your journey of awakening, moving towards deeper nourishment, your passion, your purpose, and radical self-care. That means a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. Join me this Saturday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for a full moon class, specifically for deepening your nourishment. And if you're ready to take a powerful action step towards this alignment with your emotional body and your inner wisdom, and move closer to passion and purpose and your Dharma, please reach out to me for a free Dharma coaching session. I offer a couple of these every week to action takers, people who are ready to take those steps towards their inner wisdom. I've got a lot of resources that I can support you with depending on what your needs are. So reach out to me if you're ready to take that step. I will post that information above the video, as well as a recap of what we covered today in class and a link to help you join the full moon class. And I hope to see you in class on Saturday. Type your comments, your harvests, your questions in the comment section below, and I'll attend to those in today and in the coming days as you listen to the class. Thank you so much for joining me, for following along, and I'm really glad to be walking with you in this moon tribe, in the embody your inner wisdom, embody your inner moon, your inner wisdom tribe. This group is specifically for those of you who want to deepen your inner wisdom and your relationship with your emotional body. So keep following along. Got some more resources for you coming in the next few days as we attend to grief this week in the 5-day grief challenge. All right, everyone, have a great Monday, and I'll see you in class. Bye.